Hi, this is Randy Lee again, and this is our second tutorial, and that is on the installation of our Ultimate Striker block kit. So the first thing I did was I disassembled and removed, field stripped essentially the slide, just so that I can access the rear sight and remove that. With a factory rear sight, you probably have a 16th inch hex driver. This happens to be a 10A performance rear sight, so we're using a 2mm. Essentially what I want to do first is loosen the set screw, take it out about 3 turns just to make sure everything's clear. Then what I'm going to use is a drift, which in this case is an aluminum punch, and I actually wrapped it with masking tape so that I don't mar the finish on the sight. And I'm going to drift the sight from left to right. And depending on the gun, if it's brand new, it may be a little more challenging or tougher to actually drift the sight over. This one's been pre-fitted, so it moves fairly easily. Once I get it started, I'm going to use the tool that's provided in the kit, which is the Tactial sight kit, or sight tool, so that there's a small plunger plate. I'll see if I can get that exposed. It's a small aluminum disc. It's about 1/4 inch in diameter. That's what holds the spring in position and prevents the spring from getting damaged when you're installing or removing the rear sight. So I'm going to use the tool to actually cover that, just to prevent the loss of the spring or the plate. If you don't have a vise, and we're using a vise with padded jaws, if you have a sight adjustment tool, you may want to cover it or put it in a plastic bag just to prevent the spring and that plate from getting launched. So what I'm going to do now is just pull back on the tool, press my thumb and hold it over the plate so that I don't lose anything. I'm going to remove, in this case, the spring and the plate came off with it. That exposes the new safety plunger. And what I'm going to do is push from the underside, lift it out. We'll take the new plunger, drop it back into the hole, pull out the spring, put the spring in its recess. Now what I'm going to do is take that tool again so that I can put the plate back in position. And slide it in place. And actually, I'm going to go back and reverse the direction. Okay, so now the plate, the striker block plate, plunger plate and spring are in position. Now I can take the rear sight and move it back into position. I'm going to tap this back, and because you have to remove the rear sight to access the safety plunger itself, you'll probably have to readjust for your zero on your windage. Once it's in place and relatively centered, I'm just going to center and lock down the sight screw. And then as a final check, what I'm going to do is just flip it over and make sure that there's nothing that's out of alignment. There's a slight bevel on the entry hole to the plunger, so if the spring is slightly out of alignment, by pressing it in, it should self-align the spring. And once that happens, you may feel a little bit of a slippage or a slight grinding where the spring is self-centering, but once that occurs, you shouldn't feel any type of drag whatsoever. The next thing I want to do is just check the function of the safety. I press on the striker just to make sure that it's being blocked, and then what I'm going to do is just press on the safety plunger and make sure that the striker is free to move forwards. When I release off it, the striker is now blocked. And that's basically it. If you have any further questions, please contact us at www.apextactical.com. Thank you.